everybody, and welcome back to Yokai Hime's voiceovers. Today we will be going in back into Love Spell, Written in the Stars, episode 5 of Florian Atlas's Route. So, without further ado, I wasn't able to sleep a wink due to the sheer excitement of this upcoming trip. I double-checked for about the third time that I have everything I could need packed into my suitcase as I glanced at the time. 3:50 a.m. He should be here soon. I can't believe this is happening, Philia. We might be making one of the biggest archaeological finds of this century. Philia doesn't really understand what's so exciting about a rickety old ship at the bottom of the sea. But if it makes Master happy, But if it makes Master this happy, then I guess it's okay. Philia, you don't understand. The Fleur de la Mar is a ship that carried huge amounts of treasure on it. I watched as the little penguin's interest is suddenly piqued as she turns to me excitedly. Treasure? You mean like a ship full of cheese? Of course, that would be your interpretation of the word. If cheese is involved, Philia's very excited. I can't help but giggle at the strange little penguin next to me. Philia and her cheese. Suddenly, my phone jingles. My heart skips a beat when I read a message from the professor. Good morning. I'm waiting outside. Let's get going. It's finally time. I excitedly turned to Philia, opening my travel bag and ushering her in. Okay, you. I've put plenty of cheesy snacks in there for the trip. No causing trouble, and do not come out of my bag for any reason. Master, I already told you other humans can't see me. But fine. Philia will obey for delicious cheesy snacks. Philia waddles inside the bag and settles in. I close the bag, grab my suitcase, and head out. As I reach a taxi parked outside, a man gets out of the car and opens the trunk. I stare at him for a few minutes before scanning the area for any other cars. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I got the wrong taxi. Yona, what are you talking about? Get in the car. I gawk at the man's familiar voice, and my jaw drops as I take in his disheveled appearance. Professor? Is that really you? You look completely different. The professor sighs irritably as he grabs my bags and throws them in the trunk. As much as it pains me to admit this, as both a professor and an archaeologist, I am most definitely... oh, crap. That was supposed to be in his voice. I'm most definitely not a morning person. I was also nervous about missing the flight, so I barely slept a wink. There we go. That's the right voice. I mean, I didn't sleep either, but I don't look like I walked out of an apocalypse. Because that's her take on him. I'll have time to clean up on the plane, and after my morning coffee. Now get in the car. We're in a hurry. I zip my lips and follow his orders, as I'd hate to piss off this terrible, uncaffeinated version of him even more. A few hours later, I can only watch as the man next to me growls in peak irritability, tearing his hands through his blonde hair unrelentingly. Unbelievable. No, it's absolutely preposterous. How could there have been no coffee shops open at an airport? Just what kind of uncivilized, barbaric place is this? Well, it is really early. Maybe we can ask the stewardess when she comes back. I watch as the professor crosses his arms and grumbles begrudgingly, staring daggers at the passenger's headrest in front of him. I can't help but giggle, seeing this completely childish side to a man who usually wouldn't be caught dead in this sort of situation, nor appearance. What is it? Do my woes of uncaffeination entertain you? What should I say? I'm glad I get to see this side of you. You know, I'm really glad I get to see all these different sides of you, Professor. Professor Atlas's eyes widen for barely a second before he quickly turns away, running his hands through his messy locks. Well, I'm glad you're not disappointed. Sometimes I get too excited and just lose track of myself. Did you rest well at least? Me? I didn't sleep a wink. I was up all night reading about the ship. I mean, come on. How could I sleep with something so exciting happening? He stares at me wide-eyed for a few seconds before letting out a genuine laugh. I feel my cheeks flush as he beams a smile at me. Look at you. You're sounding like quite the archaeology assistant. Color me impressed. Thank you for taking me with you. I'll do my best to help you and the others in any way I can. The professor smiles at me as he looks me in the eyes. I cannot talk today. I can feel a sense of earnestness radiating from his gaze. I said it before, didn't I? That I wanted to share my dream with you. Hopefully it will shed some light on the path to finding your own. And don't think I haven't taken notice of how much work and effort you've been putting in lately either. I'm very impressed and quite proud of you. My heart tugs at his words, and I can feel my face heat up, but somehow it feels different than before. I tear my eyes away from him, as I'm afraid my stammering heart will fly out of my chest. Right. I'm going to continue reading that book you gave me. I hear Atlas chuckle, but he doesn't say a word after that. I open the book and attempt to hide my blushing face in it. Several hours later. Slight turbulence on the plane jolts me awake. I look out to the small window. and I gasp as I see a bright, shining blue sea outside. Professor, look! As I turn around, I stop mid-sentence. I catch the professor's handsome, sleeping face and feel my heart slam into my ribcage. The plane jumps a little as we hit another bit of turbulence, and my eyes widen to see how he's now leaning on my shoulder. My heart skips a beat, or three, as I stare at the gorgeous man lying next to me. He's close enough to make out the length of his eyelashes behind his glasses. I don't see how anybody can sleep on a plane. The seats are so uncomfortable. Like, you're crowded, you're usually next to somebody you don't know. In this case, you're not, but it's still like very difficult to sleep, and it hurts your neck. I gulp as I lift a hand and brush some hairs out of his eyes. Get a grip, woman. None of this is real, and even if it is, it's all just some weird book's fault. My heart sinks at the realization of my own thoughts. Wait, he won't remember any of this, will he? I look down and can't help but feel an inexplicable sense of sadness. Before I can think on it too long, I feel the professor stir next to me. I can't do the snore sound effects. Yona, Genghis Khan isn't a French monarch. Snores. Talking in his sleep about tutoring. He even lectures me in his dreams. Talk about a workaholic. I stare warmly at the face of the man next to me, whom I've grown to admire and respect in so many ways. Hesitantly, I gently lean my head on his and close my eyes. At least I'll play pretend for a bit longer. Oh, that's sad. A voice resounds through the plane. Attention passengers. We are now preparing to land on the Ryukyu Islands. Please remain seated and remember to take small children by the hand. I stir as I slowly open my eyes to catch a warm orange glow seep in through the windows. I look over outside and my breath hitches as I take in the sight of a beautiful sunset setting over a tropical island. Whoa! Ah, you're finally up. Did you manage to get some rest? Oh, Professor, you've changed. Yes, I'm afraid I had to, after waking up with my hair and shirt covered in drool. I can feel the blood leave my face as I stare back at him with an absolutely mortified expression. After what feels like a horrifying lifetime, he starts laughing. I was joking. That is not funny. You devil man. Devil, you say? Nonsense. Why, I'm practically an angel.
I mean, who else could deal with all that snoring in one's poor ear?
You're terrible! My flustered embarrassment only grows as Professor Atlas' laughs becomes louder. After a couple of minutes, the plane safely lands and passengers begin to file out. I feel something warm grab my hand, and I look up, shocked to find Professor Atlas pulling me towards him. He shoots me a wry look before cocking an eyebrow.
What? They did say to grab small children by the hand.
I can't even help that. Oh, let go, you jerk! I can't help but excitedly peer outside the cab's window, marveling at the tropical and exotic surroundings that rush by us in a blur. New and foreign architecture, greenery, and even colorfully dressed people all astound me as I stare in awe.
I'm assuming you've never been to this part of the world before. I'm assuming she's never left her small town.
No, never. This is my first time seeing all of this. It's so exciting. Have you been here before, Professor?
I have, actually. Believe it or not, this area is quite popular. Quite a popular travel destination among the higher academic community because it's so unheard of to the general public.
I continue to stare and wonder at all the foreign scenery we pass by. A part of me wishes I could go off and explore, but I'm already certain the majority of my stay here will be at the lab we're all going to be living in during the mission. I failed to notice a certain professor's eyes on me as my attention is focused on the natural world outside of the moving car. As soon as we enter the lab, my jaw drops at the expansive underwater interior. I stare in awe as people in lab coats and suits are all bustling about. I marvel as Professor Atlas is greeted warmly from the moment he walks in. I can only shyly bow and introduce myself behind him to the many different faces that come up to greet us. Suddenly, a man I do recognize walks up to us.
Well, I'll be. Now that's a face I haven't seen in quite some time. Follow me all the way out here, did ya? Florian, good to see you, my boy. How have you been?
I watch as Professor Atlas's face lights up, and he positively beams at the short, stout man approaching us.
Dr. Lankdar. Why, of course you'd be here. Haha, I should have known. Well, most certainly. I wouldn't miss this excavation for the world. This is history in the making, my boy.
I smile as I watch Atlas tenderly throw his arms around the man in an affectionate hug.
The Fleur de la Mar is just incredible, isn't it? Now, we won't know that until we go down there ourselves. But yes, those markings were quite astounding. Gave me a good shock, I'll tell you that.
Suddenly, Dr. Lankdar catches my gaze as he motions to me.
Oh, and who might this lovely young lady be over here be?
Hello there, Dr. Lankdar. My name is Yona. It's an honor to meet you, sir.
Oh ho ho, Florian, my boy. Did you finally find yourself a nice girl who is able to pry you out of a cave? I know this one's back. I know the ones back in your college days always had a rough time of it.
I can feel my face light up at the doctor's comments. Professor Atlas shakes his head almost embarrassingly.
Ahem. She's my student, and also my research assistant. I'm hoping maybe this whole experience will give her a better glimpse at her undecided future. Undecided future, eh? Is that so? Sure reminds me of someone else back in the day.
Dr. Lankdar turns to me and winks while pointing at Atlas.
He actually wanted to be an accountant. Can you believe that? The infamous Florian Atlas, a boring old accountant of all things.
What? No way. I could never imagine that.
Ha ha ha. Then you wouldn't believe most of my stories from back when he was still in college. Oh, I have so many. Would you like to hear some, Yona?
I giggle in surprise as Atlas inserts himself between the two of us and clears his throat. His cheeks flushed pink.
Ahem. I'm afraid we haven't the time, Doctor. We should probably see ourselves to our rooms now. It's quite late after all, and I'm sure she's feeling awfully jet-lagged, so... Aha, is that so? What a shame. Perhaps some other time, then. However, before you go, Florian, my boy, one last thing.
Suddenly, Dr. Lankdar discreetly scans the area with suspicion as he leans closer to the professor and I.
I trust you've already gotten word of what's happened, yes?
I watch as the professor's demeanor shifts and he casts his gaze downwards.
Priceless antiques going missing all around the world, right? Artifacts of immense cultural significance are vanishing out of museums and government keeps without a trace or notice.
Yes, some say they're all being auctioned off at the black market of sorts. It's terrible to say the least.
It's absolutely unacceptable is what it is. I damn the low-life degenerates who auction off missing pieces of the world's knowledge all to hell.
Pure disdain and rage seep from the professor's voice as I watch him clench his hands into a fist.
Yes, well, a word of caution, my dear boy. Even though this excavation is supposedly being kept under tight wraps by the Indonesian government, there's been a few suspicious-looking individuals spotted on the island as of late. It wouldn't be far off to wager someone in this very place is involved in this relic trafficking ring. Keep your guard up, both of you, at all times. And not a word of this to anyone. The less eyes on that ship, the better.
I force down the lump in my throat as the professor silently nods. Dr. Lankdar nods back knowingly and waves as he walks off. Professor Atlas turns to me and we see ourselves to our rooms.
I plopped down on the bed of my designated room, and I closed my eyes. Dr. Langdar's words repeat themselves in my head. Now that he mentions it, I remember seeing a few reports on the news lately of museum pieces being stolen. People are terrible. How could they do such a thing to priceless relics? I'm snapped out of my thoughts as I hear one of my bags begin to rustle and move. Oh no, she's forgot about Philia. I grab it and I immediately unzip it to reveal a crazed-looking Philia. Philia thought she was going to die in that terrible, stinky bag. Whoops. Sorry, Philia. We just got here not too long ago. Philia will never be stuffed in another bag, ever. Do you hear me? Never, ever, ever. The enraged penguin waddles around haughtily for a few minutes before she settles into my lap with an angry pout. I rub her back and attempt to soothe her ruffled feathers. There, there. I'll buy you tons of cheese to make up for it, okay? Master thinks she can just do whatever she wants because she promises Philia cheese. Ridiculous! So you don't want me to buy you a giant pack of cheese then? Philia did not say that. I can't help but chuckle at her antics. I look out towards the window as I can make out the distant sounds of the ocean waves. I lay back in bed. For some reason, my thoughts keep drifting back to the professor, ever since the plane ride. I feel my cheeks grow warm at just the thought of him, but my heart also aches. Hey, Philia, you know, I've been thinking about this whole spell business, and I just don't get it. Why cast a spell to experience love and make all these memories with a person, just for it to disappear as if it were all a dream at the end? Philia turns around and stares at me for a few seconds. She wears a calm, yet odd expression as she waddles towards me. Well, that's a lot like asking why anyone should dream if they know that they'll eventually wake up one day. A wise wizard once said, "It's not about the destination, it's about the journey." I think she just quoted Merlin. Don't think that falling in love is, or don't you think falling in love is a lot like that too? There's all sorts of amazing things to experience along the way, but if you start to worry if they'll be there forever from the start, you're going to end up missing out on a lot, don't you think? I bite my lip at her words. Deep down, I know she's right, but won't it hurt? Isn't that just basically like waiting for your heart to break? Philia can't say. Philia has heard many say that a human heart is a heavy burden. But Philia also believes that some things in life are worth living for, regardless of how they might end up. Philia hopes that, one day, Master can find her own answer to that question. As I watch the little penguin waddle away, I can't help but look down at my hands. The same hands that
the professor took in his just a short while ago, and for some reason, my heart feels as if it were an anchor sinking down into the depths of the sea, knowing I might not ever get to experience that again. Well, that's it for episode 5. Next time, episode 6, Buried Emotions. Bye!